What's up, everyone? All right, so here we are. It is day 3 of day trading in Louisiana. I'm in New Orleans. Last week I was in Mexico, so now it's been 8 days on the traveling trading station here, my laptop, 2 USB monitors, and it's been going well. I mean, all things considered. Today, however, first trade of the day started by going into the red, $4,000. That is a little bit of a bigger loss than I'd like. My average losses this year have only been around $800. So losing, 4,000 is a bigger loss. We'll go over that trade in a moment. And I struggled a little bit for about an hour with really having nothing to trade. And I had to remind myself, I said, all right, you know what? Take a breath, be patient. There will be opportunities this morning. You're going to have to sit in the red for a little bit, but there's a really good chance you'll recover it, but don't rush it. Just wait, just be patient, take a breath. So I did that. And we ended up getting some trades on BDRX. BDRX ended up having news and squeezing up a little bit. That recovered most of the loss on my first trade. And then ADTX gave us continuation. Day 2 of continuation, squeezing up from 850 to 950, all the way up to 10. And that was the stock that really put me nicely in the green. I am sitting right now up $12,900. Fantastic morning, especially considering I was fairly deep in the red. Well, $4,000 is not nothing. So this is where I sit here today. I'm going to break down my trades for the morning. Let's start with the first stock, which was LSE, down $3,832.71. Now, I actually took a total of 4 trades on it. First trade was a $4,500, $4,300 loss. Second trade was a $1,500 winner. Third trade was like a $1,500 loser, basically put me back to red. And then the fourth trade was break even. So I ended up basically having 25% accuracy on this stock. So let's look at that stock. All right, so LSE currently is the leading gainer in the entire market. And for that reason, I felt like it was the obvious stock to focus on this morning. It reminded me a little bit of RGC from last week, but RGC was sort of a blessing and a curse. I mean, it did end up moving higher. I just didn't trade it well. So LSE, also a Chinese company, and I'm thinking, all right, have to approach it with some caution, but these have been moving. And so this is what I ended up doing. Coming into 7 a.m., because it was the leading gainer, I'm thinking, all right, this looks good. And right here, right into 7 a.m., we get this kind of spike. And I had my order at 1450 to buy. Well, I was watching 1450. I had my order up around 15. I pressed the buy button and I ended up getting filled at like 1486. So I ended up getting filled a little high. Part of that is because I kind of hesitated to press the buy button, and by the time I did, it was a little higher. And maybe I got a little slippage on it as well. So I bought 6,000 shares on the first trade, and it goes up to a high of what you can see right here, which was $15.18. And I think I actually put an order out to take some profit, but I didn't fill any of that. And then next thing you know, it drops down here to 14 and a low of 1360. I lost $4,000. And that was all within 2 minutes. So it's 7:02. Now I'm awake and I'm like, all right, I've got some work to do. So it comes back up and I get back in, but I'm nervous to get back in right here. So I wait for it to break over this level and I get in on this micro pullback here at 1550. On that trade, I make like $1,500. So I'm like, all right, nice. It pulls back right here and I get back in right here for first candle to make a new high over 1650 and get stopped out. I try to get back in up there and I have a break even trade. So loser, winner, loser, break even. That was it. And it came back down. It was just didn't pull away. So that was kind of annoying. Yeah, now it's squeezing up again here, but whatever. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. The price was a little higher. The float's not an issue, but the price was a little higher. The spreads were a little bigger. So anyways, it is what it is. I wouldn't have traded it if it weren't the leading gainer, but because it was the leading gainer, I felt like this was the obvious stock. And I don't know, I guess maybe traders are being more cautious around these Chinese names than I expected, and people just said, no, I'm not trusting it. So anyways, I jumped in, I went red, And then I had to sit for a little bit. So BDRX was the next stock that came up on the scanners. It actually popped up with news at 7 a.m. But as we know recently, jumping in something with news can be risky. And this popped up and then came back down, goes sideways, starts to curl right here. And I'm still kind of like, I don't know if I could trust it. This thing has been a little tricky. I better be careful. So I took my first entry on it as it came up towards 3, which was right here. Right there was my first entry for the break of 3. And this ended up squeezing up to about $3.10, which was not bad. We got a little bit of a trade. And then let's see, there was a little bit of a pop right here and then a little bit of a move here. But by this point, I just felt like it wasn't trustworthy. And then you get this little sideways consolidation and this pop. This just ended up becoming a little too risky. So I like trading things when they're on the front side of the move. You've got a micro pullback. I don't mind the first candle to make a new high, but then that rejected. And then this sort of pop up here after that topping tail. You've then got like 4 or 5 doji candles in a row, all with these topping tails. It was just a lot of indecision. It was a grinder. And it ended up kind of rolling over. Nonetheless, I made $3,110 on it. So I was down $700 on the day, and I'm thinking, all right, well, it's, what time is it? 7:45. Still have a lot of time to recover. Probably have a good chance at still finishing the day in the green. So, let's see what happens. All right, so then at that point, I'm just sitting and I'm watching scans, and a number of stocks are hitting the scans, but I'm kind of hesitating, sort of not sure. We saw a couple pops and drops. AIFF popped up on the scanner. That one didn't do anything. MLGO, this one popped up on the scanner for a minute. That one didn't do anything. So just sort of waiting. And I knew, of course, ADTX yesterday made this really big move. Of course, I traded ADTX yesterday pre-market. And then at the open, it gave you this nice squeeze up to 10. So I had that one on watch. And this was actually an area where being on the traveling trading station did pose a little bit of a problem. So here was the issue. I'm on my traveling trading station, and I'll just, let's see, I'll just go grab my camera here. So the way I have this set up right now, you can't see it super well, but I've got my... I'll hide this, just put it in the background. So that's my video software. So right there, I've got my broker, and I've got the chat room over here. And then this is the one screen that I'm using. Well, you really can't see it very well because it's kind of blurred. It really doesn't matter. Anyways, so I've got a screen there. And the problem that I was facing today was running out of screen real estate space. So I, had this. So I was sort of like, I want to keep an eye on ADTX, but I also want to keep an eye on what was the other stock from yesterday? KBSX. KBSX was also continuation. So I kind of wanted to keep that on a side chart. And I don't have side charts right now. I just have kind of my main chart. Anyways, so I do have this second monitor, but they're kind of smaller, and I hadn't set it up for that second continuation stock. So the net result was that I felt like I kept jumping from symbol to symbol. So I'd pull up SNCX. It would have, this one had news. So I pull that up, and then I'm like, oh, I better go back and check on ADTX. And I'm like, okay, nothing happening there. And then I switch over to, whatever, and then I switch back. And so I was just doing a lot of kind of jumping around, which I don't love. And that kind of leaves me in this position of kind of sort of feeling like I'm probably going to miss a move. But anyways, ADTX starts to pop up. So I took my first trade on it just after 8 a.m. Let's see. So let's go back. So this was kind of interesting. Right here, it pops up. And I had it on watch. I was kind of watching it. And so right here it pops up, and I bought 1,500 shares at 750. Right here as it started to pop up. And I got in at 750, and I got out at about 8. So, took 1,500 share starter, added 1,500 shares to double, and added 1,500 shares that broke through 8. So boom, I'm in and out. That was like $1,100 winner. So with that, I flipped from red on the day to green on the first trade, but it didn't hold up. So it pulls back, and I'm like, whatever, it's a small trade. Comes back up again, and I'm thinking, all right, I think I can work with this. So it comes back, and it first double tops at 820. Now, the levels that I watched, you can see this blue trend line. I marked that for this high back here, which was after hours. I kind of felt like that was a line in the sand that was probably meaningful to keep an eye on. And then I also thought this high right here was meaningful. So I had drawn a trend line up here. It was right around there, about 916. And then, of course, I recognized the high a day was also significant from yesterday, which was around 1004. So those are the levels I had drawn. So it pops up to 820. Pulls back, and then when it comes back up for the second attempt, I got back in right there, 6,000 shares, 815, and looking for the squeeze higher. Pretty much immediately, it goes up to 840, 850, so it's like another $1,500 winner. It's nothing crazy, but adding some profit. Little resistance at 850, so there was a seller there. Not surprising, it was psychological resistance, but finally, we so we did a false break at that level. We pull back, and then we come up and we break through, and it's sort of another false break, and then we go. So once we broke through 50 and we held over 850, I added right here 858, 865, 870, got a quick squeeze here up towards 9. Micro pullback here, and then what am I doing? First 1 minute candle to make a new high. Boom. There you go. So not a huge trade, right? It only goes up to 9. Pulls back again, dips a little further, then it pulls away up to 915. So now this was this kind of critical level line in the sand, that technical level. So we hit about 920, we pull back, and then we break, go to 950. We pop up to 960, dip down, and we push up to a high of 1020. So I had a couple of places where I took bigger positions on this. The way I was thinking about it was, once this thing started to squeeze, I was starting to get dialed in at this $10 range. So I took a bigger position here as we broke through 850. That was a nice trade, but it didn't go, it wasn't exceptional. Pops up here, kind of pulls back. That failed. Right here, took a bigger position when we got that break over 916. And I actually took a bigger position up at 10 because I thought it was going to squeeze and pull away. That I stopped out for a small loss on. So it ends up pulling back down, dropping here. And then at the open, just popping and then selling off. So, that was kind of the whole thing. It was not as good as I hoped it would be, but it was still enough to make $13,623.28. It's got 16 million shares of volume right now, but it's at this point only up 10%. So now it's come back down. So this was day 2 continuation. The daily chart, I liked it. Over yesterday's high, I was thinking we've got gap fill here up to like 14 from this gap on the daily, recent reverse split. I didn't expect the volume today would exceed yesterday's volume. That was the only issue. Still today is no doubt 5 times higher volume than the 50-day average prior to yesterday. Yesterday increases that, but that's okay. Day 2 continuation is a setup that I'll trade. I have no problem with that. And you know what? It was a decent trade, but would have been nice if it had held 10. Because what I was kind of thinking right in this area was, whoa, okay, we just broke 1004. So when it held over 10, and there was a bid at $10, I was like, okay, it's game time. So I added 15,000 shares right there, 1005, 1008, and I'm like, here we go. I'm looking for this thing now to go up to 1025, 1050, 11. This might go parabolic. We're breaking yesterday's high. So I was thinking shorts would stop out and we would get this nice squeeze, but it ended up that it just stalled out like right there. There was some heavy selling, and it's true that the interesting thing in this area is that there was heavy selling. These 4 candles all had about the same amount of volume, and it felt like even though there were people buying, there were sellers that were just kind of unloading right there. And we did talk about this company yesterday and the risk of, an offering and them selling on the market. So anyways, it is what it is. But, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here with a nice recovery from down $4,000 to in the green by almost 13,000. That's a solid day. I can't complain at all. So, and I would say that for me, the big thing was having the patience to wait for stocks that were really clean. And so I skipped probably a dozen stocks that I just said, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I can't trust that. And I'm glad that I had the discipline to wait and wait and wait until finally we had one that started to pull away. So that's when things got exciting. All right. So as always, I will be streaming tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. If you have not already done a 2-week trial here at Warrior Trading, I'll put the link in the description. You can watch me it's a 14-day trial. So you'll have 2 full weeks, no matter when you start. So you could watch me Thursday, Friday, and then, all next week and a couple days into the following week. And I'd love to have you. I think you guys would really enjoy it. I think you'll learn a ton by being able to hear my real-time market commentary, watching me trade, seeing my P&L window as I'm buying, as I'm selling. You can see, kind of how I'm, where I'm in, of course, and how I'm managing my risk, how I'm thinking about these trades in real time. So I hope you guys check out that trial, and I'll put a link to a couple episodes you may enjoy right here in the top corner and over here on the side. And I want to thank you guys as always for being tuned in for these episodes. I hope you subscribe to the channel, and I hope you hit the thumbs up. I'll see you guys bright and early, 7 a.m. streaming tomorrow morning for members at Warrior Trading. Okay, see you guys in the morning.